Who are the most intimidating fighters in every single UFC weight class? In UFC history, we've had so many intimidating fighters. We've had Mirko Cro Cop, we've had Wanderlei Silva, Rampage Jackson. We've had so many intimidating fighters. And people, we don't really talk about the ones in the current UFC. Today we're going to be going over the most intimidating fighters in every current UFC weight class. They have to be active fighters, that's the only rule. They have to be active, as in they have to still be in the UFC. So I'm not going to include people from 10, 20 years ago or retired people now. I'm only going to be including people who are actively fighting in the UFC. Starting off in the heavyweight division, I'm going to go with Jon Jones. He's one of the most intimidating in the UFC. He intimidated a lot of his opponents. There's a lot of scary clips of him. He's not like Mike Tyson type intimidating. He can take a joke and stuff, but he's very intimidating if you're going to be fighting him. First of all, he's one of the greatest of all time. I mean, that alone is going to scare you. When you get into the octagon with someone who's the best of all time or the greatest of all time, that's going to intimidate you somewhat. He could beat every single human on the planet in hand-to-hand combat. That thought alone is just scary. Like when you're going against a lightweight that's really good, you know that they're very good, but someone bigger than them could just take them. Jon Jones is a heavyweight who's never lost in his life. This guy could maul everyone on the planet. I can't really think of anyone on the planet who beats this man. That alone is intimidating as fuck. He's a multi-time criminal, so he's not like a nice guy like GSP. He's not a nice guy. He's got serial killer vibes. What he said to Daniel Cormier, that clip where it's like, I will literally kill you. I won't just beat you, Daniel. I will literally kill you. The guy's he's the type of guy to kill you. He won't have any shame in kill you. He's a bit of a psycho. Doesn't really have any emotion around him. It's like he's trying to fit in, but he's got this serial killer vibe, man. And he just, what he did to, what's his name? Was it Lyoto Machida? Where he just slept him. This guy is one of the most intimidating in the UFC. If you're fighting Jon Jones, there's no way you don't feel intimidating at all. Greatest of all time. Would probably kill you if he had the chance. He's a scary guy. I know there's Francis Ngannou, but he's not in the UFC anymore. There's not really other intimidating people. I mean, Pavlovich, he's not really intimidating. I mean, he is intimidating, but Pavlovich is like a nice guy. Jon Jones isn't a nice guy. That's what makes him more intimidating. Then we're going to move to somebody making their light heavyweight debut at UFC 291, Alex Pereira. This guy, this guy is one of the most intimidating stoic. I would hate to be an opponent of Alex Pereira. First of all, he finishes nearly all of his fights. The way he KO'd Sean Strickland and then that other Donnie in the UFC. I know he took Bruno Silva to a decision, but the way he KO'd Adesanya, his kickboxing career, he's like a knockout machine. Like the way he just slowly walks towards you with this intimidating stance, and then eventually that left hook connects and you're asleep. He's very intimidating. He's very stoic. He doesn't show much emotion. It's kind of a joke now. He kind of plays along with a joke, but he's known for not really showing emotion. Never really smiles. He's just kind of like this angry, quiet guy. Doesn't really speak. He's like a Brazilian tribe warrior. Like when Alex Pereira shows up to the weigh-ins, wearing that cultural stuff, that's gotta be scary, man. A straight, stone-faced Alex Pereira ready to knock your head off in some Brazilian gear. He's very cold-blooded as well. Doesn't look like he has much. I mean, I'm sure he's not cold-blooded, but that's the vibe he has when he's in the octagon. He looks like he's just going to walk forward until he wants to, knock your lights out. He followed Adesanya to the UFC and KO'd him. During that first Adesanya fight, Adesanya wouldn't shut up, but Alex Pereira was quiet, man. And then the way he just slept him, well, he didn't sleep him, but finished him, man. He's very, very stoic, very intimidating. Doesn't say much, doesn't really seem friendly. Looks like the type of guy to, send a bow and arrow through your heart and kill you and take your family. Maybe that's a bit far, but I don't know. Alex Pereira, for me, is the most intimidating light heavyweight on the planet right now. I'm not going to count him as a middleweight because he's debuting at light heavyweight. Someone I will count a middleweight, debuting at UFC 294, Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, he's undefeated, first of all. He never lost a fight. So, when you're undefeated, it's not exactly hard to be intimidating. There's no man on the planet that he's ever faced has ever been able to take him, has ever been able to beat him. He's ran through most of his opponents. He's not like one of these people that just edge out decisions. The way he starts the fight and just picks you up and ragdolls you, the way he did to those couple opponents early on in the UFC, Li Jingliang, and he's got knockout power as well. The way he knocked out Gerald Meerschaert, He's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC as well. There's not much you can do when you're fighting this guy. I want to know what Kevin Holland was feeling when he got in the octagon with Khamzat Chimaev. It's got to be scary, man. He can ragdoll you whenever he wants. This guy looks crazy, speaks crazy, wants to kill everyone, tells everyone he wants to kill everyone. He sounds like a psycho, and he is a psycho. He's intimidating. If he wants to kill you, he'll kill you. That's the type of guy. There's nothing you can do from stopping this guy from picking you up, slamming you, ground and pounding you till your face is broken, and submitting you to sleep. No one's been able to crack the code for him yet. He's going to be fighting Paulo Costa. I've already done an early prediction video on that, but he is very intimidating. I would not want to be fighting Khamzat Chimaev. I'm sure there's so many welterweights or middleweights that have got a contract to fight this guy and declined it because it's Khamzat. But yeah, Khamzat Chimaev is so intimidating. Then we move on to welterweight. I'm going to go with Shavkat Rakhmonov. First of all, he's undefeated. Doesn't really speak much either. So he's kind of got, he's not really English, so he can't speak, but he's kind of got that mysterious, quiet vibe. I believe he's got such a good record. He's like, 17, 18, 19 and 0, and he's finished every single fight. He's never gone to the decision. So when you're going in there with a guy that's either knocked out or submitted every single one of his opponents, that's got to take a toll when you're fighting him. He's a hot prospect right now. He's climbing the rankings. He's got a fight with Kelvin Gastelum. I think it's a fight night. It could be on a pay-per-view though. I think it's fight night though. But yeah, Shavkat Rakhmonov is kind of like the dark horse of the welterweight division, the mysterious quiet guy. Before it was Vicente Luque, but I'm gonna have to give it to Shavkat. Finished every single one of his fights that he's never lost before. Quiet guy, mysterious vibes, high hot prospect in the UFC right now. If he gets past Kelvin Gastelum and finishes him, it's gonna be very hard to fight this guy. He's just a scary guy, isn't he? He's just a scary. He's not exactly the type of guy that would kill you or anything like John Jones, but the record speaks for itself. His fighting speaks for itself. When you go, he's just not a guy you want to be matched up in the octagon. Let's put it that way. Moving on to lightweight, I'm gonna go with Islam Makhachev. No, first of all, he's only ever lost once in his career to a knockout. I know he's not undefeated. He doesn't have that same buzz, but he's only ever lost once. He's finished most of his opponents. Finished Oliveira, finished Dan Hooker, Bobby Green. What was that other guy? Gleison Tebow. He can either knock you out or submit you. He's got that Dagestani smash style. A lot of Dagestanis tend to be intimidating. Not much people really tend to want to fight Dagestanis. If you could pick an opponent, you're probably not going to want to pick a Dagestani. I feel like he's a scary guy. When you see Makhachev across the octagon, there's not much you can do to defend the takedowns. He's got he's got good striking. Managed to stand on the feet with Volkanovski, who's one of the best strikers in the UFC. I was going to go Charles Oliveira, but he's kind of like, he seems too nice to be intimidating. Do you know what I mean? Oliveira just seems too nice to be intimidating. Islam just seems like he doesn't care. He's going to run through you, he'll break your face. He's got that killer instinct about him that a lot of fighters don't. He's just going to maul you. That's what he comes to maul people. Doesn't really say much, and if he does, it's usually in like a different language. From the family of Khabib. You don't want to fight Islam Makhachev. Put it that way. Fair play to Bobby Green and Dan Hooker for taking the fights with Islam, but you probably don't want to fight this guy. Yeah, he's got a good record, good finishes, and his fighting style is probably one that you don't want to come across. He will just destroy you, wear you out until you get finished. I personally believe he's like a tougher fight than Khabib, because Khabib kind of the type of guy to take you down, ground and pound you, and then finish you. Islam will stand with you, rock you on the feet, take you down, slam you, go for the most limb-tearing submissions. I don't know, and I feel like Islam's got way more of a killer instinct than Khabib. But, yeah, very intimidating. Then we move on to featherweight. I'm going to go Ilia Tuporia. He's just a straight killer, man. He doesn't care. He is the definition of killer instinct. If he sees you, he's not going to care. He's going to go for the kill. Straight killer. The way he battered Josh Emmett for 5 rounds. The way he KO'd Jai Herbert, the way he ragdolled, Bryce Mitchell. Ilia Topuria is probably one of the most intimidating featherweights about. He's undefeated as well, never lost a fight, I don't think. I think he's like 15-0 or something. And he batters all of his opponents. There's nothing you can do against this guy. The guy can wrestle, the guy can grapple, the guy can strike. He doesn't care. He's just like the bad guy. He plays the perfect bad guy, the perfect heel in the featherweight division. He'll just break you apart. He'll just slap the hell out of you, take you down, wrestle you. He just seems like the type of guy who enjoys punching people in the face. It's like, if this guy has a chance to slap someone or punch someone, he will. He just seems like he enjoys hitting people and smacking people. Volkanovski's good, but he's too nice to be intimidating. Everyone else at featherweight isn't really intimidating, but Ilia Toporia's just got that aura about him that you just don't want to fight him. He just seems crazy. He just wants to knock your head off. Anyway, featherweight, I'm going to go Ilia Topuria. He's going to be taking on Volkanovski soon. I think it's going to be like UFC 296 or something, but whatever it is. Bantamweight, I'm going to go with Petr Yan. This guy is quiet. He's a very dominant fighting style. He hits a lot of people. Another guy with killer instinct. Hard to beat. I know it's kind of hard saying that after he's lost like 4 out of his last 5. He lost to Sterling twice and Merab and O'Malley. But before the losing streak, he was the machine. No one at Bantamweight. He beat people like Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber. No one at Bantamweight wanted to face this guy. And if you did, he'd just beat you apart. He even beat apart Sandhagen after the first Aljo loss. He's just a Russian monster, man. He's just a Russian monster. You don't want to get on the wrong end of Petr Yan, especially when you're fighting him. Some of the best boxing in the UFC. Good level wrestling. Great kicking as well. Arguably beat O'Malley. Arguably beat Aljo the second time round. Obviously, he didn't beat Merab, but if this guy gets his game together, you know, there's a lot of bantamweights. There's Aljamain Sterling. He's definitely not intimidating. O'Malley's definitely not intimidating. Merab, his fight style is intimidating, but he didn't come across as intimidating. But Petr Yan, if I was to see Petr Yan across the octagon from me, it's kind of like, reminds me of one of those, like, what do you call him, possessed dolls that just come to kill you, like Chucky, but except he's a lot more dangerous than Chucky. Maybe a bit random, but yeah, bantamweight, I'm going to go Petr Yan. Very intimidating, very scary style. If he picks up a couple of wins, then I'm sure we'll go back to scaring people. Then we move on to flyweight, a guy who's also fighting at UFC 294, Mohammad Makhachev. He's got a record of 33-0, that's including amateur. But this guy has never lost a fight in his life, whether it be professional or amateur. 33-0. He's an upcoming prospect in the flyweight division. I think he's going to be fighting Tim Elliott soon. He's not just a one-trick pony. He can KO you out cold and submit you. In his UFC debut, he literally knocked the guy down, nearly finished him, and then went for a submission. And he's a wrestling beast. No one, 33 people have fought this man, and not one of them has been able to stop him. He finishes most of his opponents as well. He's just a guy that you don't want to fight, is Makhachev. He's a guy that doesn't want to fight, especially after that last fight he had at UFC 286, where I forgot who he was fighting, but they nearly ripped his leg off, and he was still willing to fight. He's got heart. He's the one guy you don't really want to fight. Killer instinct as well. Just seems like a crazy guy. He's like the flyweight version of Khamzat Chimaev. He reminds me of the flyweight Khamzat Chimaev, but yeah, this guy, there's not much you can do as a flyweight. I believe this guy will be flyweight champion one day. I think he'll lose at some point because he's kind of high in ego right now, but the guy's dangerous, put it that way. But yeah, that's my list for the most intimidating fighters in the UFC. Please let me know if you agree or if I missed anyone off, and yeah,